Hello, fourth graders. Welcome to Wit and Wisdom in Sync. I'm Mrs. Webb. Let's get to work. For today's lesson, you will need Love That Dog, your Wit and Wisdom in Sync journal, and a pen or pencil. Today, we are going to start reading Love That Dog, and we're going to notice and wonder. So, the first thing I need you to do is make a new Notice and Wonder chart in your InSync journal. So please pause the video to make a Notice and Wonder chart. Okay, so I'm on page 1. Go ahead and open your books to page 1 so you can follow along as I read. Jack, room 105, Miss Stretchberry. September 13th. I don't want to, because boys don't write poetry. Girls do. Turn to the next page. September 21st. I tried. Can't do it. Brains empty. Okay, so I'm going to pause there so that you can notice and wonder. Pause the video now to add to your Notice and Wonder chart about the first 2 pages. So what did you notice so far? I think it's really interesting how it has the dates, September 13th, September 21st. It's almost like a journal that he's writing, right? I also love how it's written in poetry, but he's talking about how he hates poetry. So I can't wait to see what happens next. So when I just said, I noticed that he's writing with dates and it almost seems like a journal, I was actually making an inference. Remember that good readers have to infer or make inferences when they read because authors don't always give all of the information in the text. So I have the word infer on the slide here just to remind you of the definition because we are going to do this a lot while we read this book. So infer means, read along with me, to make logical conclusions based on information. So we take what is in the text and we try to figure out what are the things the author isn't telling us, right? And in poetry, a lot of times we have to make a lot of inferences. Sometimes there just aren't as many words as in other texts that we read. So we really have to read between the lines, if you've ever heard that expression. So let's practice making an inference. I want you to think about who is Jack talking to right now or writing to, and how did you infer this? So look back at pages 1 and 2 and try to figure out who is he talking to and what evidence can you show me to support your inference, okay? Pause the video to make this inference. So what do you think? I have an idea, and I think maybe he is talking to his teacher, who it says is named Miss Stretchberry. My evidence is it sounds like he's supposed to write a poem, and he doesn't want to. And who usually makes you try to write things? Your teachers, right? And I have also been a teacher, so I've heard a lot of kids say, I don't want to do it. Boys don't do that. My brain's empty, right? I've heard that kind of stuff before. So to me, this really sounds like a student talking to a teacher. Is that what you were thinking? Okay, so now we get to keep reading pages 3 through 7 and find out what else Jack has to say to Miss Stretchberry. Let's open to page 3. September 27th. I don't understand the poem about the red wheelbarrow and the white chickens and why so much depends upon them. If that is a poem about the red wheelbarrow and the white chickens, then any words can be a poem. You've just got to make short lines. I love to see what Jack thinks about the red wheelbarrow poem. Did you feel like that when you read it? All right, let's continue on to the next page. October 4th. Do you promise not to read it out loud? Do you promise not to put it on the board? Okay, here it is, but I don't like it. So much depends upon a blue car splattered with mud speeding down the road. Looks like Jack was inspired to write a poem based on the red wheelbarrow, just like us. October 10th. What do you mean? Why does so much depend upon a blue car? You didn't say before that I had to tell why. The wheelbarrow guy didn't tell why. Jack still has some questions for his teacher, huh? All right, turning to the next page. October 17th. What was up with the Snowy Woods poem you read today? Why doesn't the person just keep going if he's got so many miles to go before he sleeps? And why do I have to tell more about the blue car splattered with mud speeding down the road? I don't want to write about the blue car that had miles to go before it slept. So many miles to go in such a hurry. All right, we're going to stop there for today. Before we move on, pause the video to add to your Notice and Wonder chart about pages 3 to 7. Let's notice and wonder about how this book is structured too. And you can flip through the whole book to get some more ideas. What have you noticed about how the way this book is structured or organized? I noticed that it's organized by the date, right? And it goes all the way to June, like it's going to go through the whole school year. Jack writing in this journal, right? Probably to his teacher. Also, it's written sort of like poems, right? He seems to hate poetry, probably doesn't really think he's writing poems, but it's written in this format like poetry with short lines, like he says. And it's also interesting, it's written like he's just talking right to his teacher, right? So it's a very unique format. What else did you notice? Did you have any questions about the book? I wonder if Jack's teacher is forcing him to write this journal and write in poetry. Sometimes teachers do stuff like that, right? Okay, so since this story is going to take place through a whole school year and go through so many months, we're going to set up our journal month by month so that we can keep track of all the things that happened to Jack, okay, throughout the year. So I'm going to go ahead and label the pages in my journal to match the months that Jack is going to describe in his story.